Hey, welcome. Let's talk about passwords. In the next few minutes, we are going to dive into a trick that goes way beyond just swapping letters for numbers, and it'll take your digital security to a whole other level. Let's get right into it.
So, first up, we have to talk about what I call the password paradox. It's that feeling, when you think you're totally secure, but in reality, you might be way more vulnerable than you realize.
And that leads me to ask you this directly. That password you so carefully came up with, the one you use for your bank, your email, is it really strong enough to stand up to today's threats? I mean, come on, you've done everything they told you to do, right? You swapped the O for a zero, the A for an @ symbol, threw in a capital letter and an exclamation point for good measure. You followed all the rules for a complex password. But here's the problem. Hackers know all those rules too. Their programs are literally designed to guess those common little tricks, which makes your supposedly clever password surprisingly easy to guess.
So, if the old way of doing things isn't cutting it anymore, what's the solution? Well, it's time we unlock a completely new approach. Let's talk about cryptic keys.
So here is the absolute core of this idea. A multi-alphabet password isn't just about adding more symbols. It's about pulling from entirely different sets of characters. When you mix, say, regular English letters with characters from Japanese or Cyrillic, you're creating a password that most hacking software just isn't built to even try to crack. We're not just adding a few more locks to the door here, we are completely changing the shape of the key itself.
Let's just look at this side by side. Over on the left, you've got a password that looks pretty strong, right? Troubadour 3. But see, every single one of those characters is from the standard keyboard we all use. Now, look at the right, Troubadour me. Just by swapping out one single character for a Japanese kanji, which, fun fact, means secret, the number of possible combinations just explodes. It's not just a small step up, it's a quantum leap in security.
You know, a good way to think about it is like this. A normal password, even a pretty complex one, is basically like a house key. Sure, there are lots of different cuts, but the basic design is the same. A multi-alphabet password, though, that's a totally different game. It's like one of those multi-dialed bank vaults you see in the movies, and the attackers don't even know what symbols are on the dials to begin with.
Okay, enough with the theory. You're probably sitting there thinking, this sounds awesome, but it's got to be super complicated to set up. But honestly, it's so much simpler than you'd think. Let's walk through it right now, step by step.
So for any Windows users out there, this is the whole thing, just 4 easy steps. You're going to search for your language settings, then you'll click Add a Language. I'd suggest something like Japanese or Russian because their characters are so different. Let it install, and you're good to go. The most important part here is that last step, learning the shortcut. Just hitting the Windows key and the spacebar together lets you flip instantly between your normal keyboard and the new one. It's so fast once you get the hang of it. And here comes the fun part. You just take one of your passwords that you already use, and you replace 1, maybe 2 of the letters with a character from that new language you just installed. That's it. You've just made your very first cryptic key.
And just like that, you've done it. No, seriously, take a second. With that one tiny change, you have just put your personal security in a completely different league from the average person. It's such a simple move, but the impact is massive.
So what does this all mean for you now? Well, using this one little technique creates a powerful new reality for your digital life.
The takeaway here is just huge. First, you've basically built your own personal firewall that most attackers are just going to bounce right off of. Second, this works for pretty much any account anywhere. And third, those brute force attacks, where computers just guess millions of combinations a second, they become almost completely useless against this kind of complexity.
And that really brings us to our final thought for today. We've just figured out how to forge a nearly unbreakable key, but that makes you ask another question, right? What about the door? Your password is only one piece of the puzzle. So now that you've got the ultimate key, what other parts of your digital life might need some reinforcing? Thanks for listening.